The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Reynardo knew that using it could go catastrophically wrong, but he was sure he could figure out how to use it safely. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Reynardo. On the other hand, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Lapino was no game changer, but could Reynardo really leave an old friend to the Ravens? The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis stone. It sounded ominous. It sounded powerful. If the Emperor was searching for it, it must be dangerous. And so, Reynardo went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals? Crafting bench. Reynardo wondered what he could make with it. Reynardo distrusted doors that opened automatically, especially after being buried for millennia. Was this some sort of trap? Interrupted story time! Calls the lead raven. Now we'll never find out how it ended! Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. And he hadn't come too late. Reynardo felt that all the recent fighting had taught him something new, but he couldn't quite put his paw on it.
If they didn't want their things broken, they really ought to make them stronger. Wait, what? How was he outside? Hadn't he taken an elevator into the depths of the Earth?
Thought, Reynardo?
Didn't smell any better dead, Reynardo thought. How could a temple to Iblis still even exist? The Transcendent Emperor had destroyed all the shrines of the lost gods after exiling them. Had it been buried in that long-ago battle? Or had Iblis foreseen his fate and hidden it from his enemy? The mysterious sword from the east made you so fast you could catch a fly with your chopsticks. If that's what you really wanted. There was a radiance at the end of a long, dark tunnel. Mother, he thought? The right jewel could really give you an edge. The wrong, well, it still looked pretty, didn't it? The Ravens at least could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. Reynardo had always wanted a flying carpet. This was more like a flying tabletop, but it would do. What were these poles exactly? Parking meters from the time of the lost gods? It was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. Who said that? It was the stone. Eager. Thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once. And Reynardo wasn't sure he really wanted to be Emperor. Why not capture the core of Sky Ripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. "It's the core," said the stone anxiously. "If you dead, that gives you the power to do what you want."
listening to a talking rock?
Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old toad had sought for himself.
To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies.
As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Reynardo had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the transcendent emperor? Was it the future? Feel it, souls. It whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls. Its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting.
It was time for a little exploration.
Sleep tight, thought Reynardo.
Zenobia was waiting for Reynardo. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled.
She spotted the stone and bolted without another word. Ooh, wouldn't his gauntlet look swell with that jewel in it? This jewel was more than sparkly. It had arcane power and an engraving. To Cindy.
Zenobia's island were no match for Reynardo. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him. Finally, Reynardo caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. Kill her, whispered the stone. You cannot win your rebellion without it. Please. No, said Zenobia. Not that way. Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be? With a flick of his wrist, he slashed Zenobia's throat. Her eyes widened even more. And then the light went out of them. Reynardo felt amazing. Power was rushing into him like water from a burst dam. Oh, such radiance, exulted the Iblis stone. Tasty.
Reynardo returns to the Farfarer and set a course for the Nexus. The Empire had a communication outpost there. He could call the Emperor directly.
It was time to seize the outpost and let the Emperor know what he had done. The Nexus was beautiful. He'd never realized how beautiful. Everything glowed. The wind was so sweet. The sun so soft. The stones so warm. The black raven feathers. Black feathers. Suddenly, his eyes are filled with them. He's falling through smoke under a dead sun. A voice calls him home. Is this a vision? Whose? Is this the time of the lost gods? Or the future? No matter. What mattered now was killing his way to the Imperial outpost and challenging the Emperor from there.
Done beautifully. Who was a bard when you needed one? That was always a rush. This would be the perfect place for a tic-tac-toe board. sensed the jewel's power. He had a feeling they were going to be great friends.
Up ahead was Lapino. What was he doing here?
Reynardo! Hey, buddy! Hey there, old buddy! Please don't kill me!
Why would I kill you? Asked Reynardo, although he had been thinking about it.
Well, you've become... no, I mean, no disrespect at all here. Kind of evil? Maybe you should, I don't know, go to the mountains to have a think? See if maybe you're sure the stone is not all that healthy a thing to keep?
I suppose you wanted, Reynardo said, and poked Lapino in the chest for emphasis. Oh, had he just killed Lapino? Oh, damn it. Go to the outpost, use their far speaker, tell the Emperor what he'd done, and then he'd go to the secret rebel base. Let them know he was ready to lead them to victory.
Ooh, a workbench. Did he have any jewels he hadn't tried out?
He had. Reynardo rampaged through the Imperial outpost like a water buffalo rampaging. At the last moment, he remembered not to kill the far speaker toad. After all, he wanted a word with the Emperor.
But there was only silence. The Emperor was scared, like little girl.
Well, he would gather the rebel army and slaughter the Imperial fleet. Yes! Applauded the Iblistone. Tremendous. Then the Emperor would have to answer his far speaker, wouldn't he? Who are you? Asked a distant voice that sounded uncomfortably like Zenobia. What have you become? The mountains. Go to the mountains, urged another that sounded a bit like Lapino. Demanded the Iblistone. I need to think, Reynardo told it. You're not good at thinking, said the Iblistone. You're good at killing. It's what you do. It's your destiny. But he set sail for the mountains, where he could be alone with his thoughts. Why were there Raven Scouts here in the empty mountains? Was there nowhere he could find peace and quiet? There were other ravens here too. Shadowy ones, transparent, lining the path. Ghosts. They cawed as he passed, but they didn't try to stop him. Spectators. Had he really killed that many ravens? Reynardo felt ready to take on new powers. Reynardo wondered if his future self had commissioned these poles. Then he saw her. Zenobia. She was a ghost too. She ran off when she saw him. How could a ghost be afraid? He followed her. He had to.
This thing really needed a roof.
Hey! Hey! I'm a firefox, thought Reynardo. There was a cat in this one, and something useful. Reynardo followed Zenobia's ghost. Had he gone mad?
seeing ghosts. Was she running from him or leading him somewhere? He'd come here to be alone, but he'd never been less alone in his life. Every raven he had slain haunted these rocks. Was this who he was? A killer? He was terribly good at killing. He was an adventurer. Or was that just another word for killer? Whisper the stone.
How we do it, said Reynardo to himself.
Once, he found a Superman issue #1 in mint condition in a jar he'd broken. He planned to keep breaking things until he had the whole series. Only he had some way to break the ice. Or convince it he was a friend. What was the point of this gate? Did they think no one would notice the lever? Should really look for another line of work, he thought. And then he died. have to be wallabies.
To die, he thought. And it was. Is a very cool sword, thought Reynardo. No, seriously. He couldn't feel his paw anymore. Tried to focus on the job he had to do. The rebellion. Wasn't there a battle coming soon? Ooh, there'd be ravens to kill. Even an emperor. Such killing. Much wow. Ooh, he'd never been so excited. Once you try it, you're hooked. At the end of the mountain path, Zenobia awaited him. He could see right through her. "Why did you kill me?" she said. "I was your prisoner, and I loved you." "I needed the power," he said. "Haven't you heard? There's a war on." "Then what's your excuse for killing me?" asked his old friend Lupino, stepping out of the shadows. Reynardo didn't have an answer for that. The demon has twisted you," said Zenobia. "Abandon the stone. You've lost too much already." Her words bit deeper than any sword ever had. So he shook his head, and once again swung his blade through her and Lupino. It had to all mean something. If he gave up the stone now, he would have sacrificed Zenobia and Lupino for nothing. So Reynardo set course for the Imperial fleet, where he would end it all. The Emperor, the war, the madness. Reynardo boarded an Imperial ship. No one could stop him slashing his way towards the Emperor. Yes, that was right. To give up now would be to lose everything for nothing. But if he could liberate the land from the Mad Emperor, then he could give up the stone in peace. And those were absolutely his own thoughts, not the stone manipulating him, right? "Oh, yes," exulted the stone. "Feel your power."
He could hear a tiny voice within him.
Don't kill the Emperor. The stone will eat your soul. Was it madness?
I have to kill the Emperor, he told himself. That's what it meant to be a hero. To do what had to be done, no matter how terrible the cost.
Yes. And then you can have peace.
Promised the stone. You never knew where the road would take you, thought Reynardo. The tiny voice, whatever it was silent. He couldn't see ghosts around him, but he could feel them. If he gave up now, they would be angry. They would have all died for nothing. Who could give up this kind of power? Could anyone? Oh, he was just a fox with a talent for swordplay. How had this burden come to him? The Emperor offered the sword. Yes, peace. That is what he wanted now. Smashing things was fun. Put a railing on this thing, he thought.
The Emperor was cowering in front of his ship.
No, please don't kill me.
Croaked Emperor Isengrim III.
Here, take the crown. I don't want it anymore.
You must kill him, or he will have his troops. He will send assassins.
Please, have mercy. The rebellion is won. Or you could be emperor. I'll just go be a scientist, or minstrel, or sell gummy bears. Yeah, I promise not to bother you.
It's your moment.
With all the love he'd ever had for Zenobia, for Lapino, for the kit foxes he would never have, Reynardo raised his sword. And Reynardo plunged his sword into his own chest.
Wait. What?
Reynardo screamed as his life force ebbed into the stone and surged back into him, and ebbed out and surged back in. Screamed the stone. It began to heat up.
What have you done?
The stone began to glow. It became white hot. It became lava. Nice knowing you, said Reynardo, as the lava ran like butter. And he died. And, just like that, he was alive again. And back on the Farfarer, still fleeing burning Ubar. The book was still open before him. So, the book was a portal. It took you to the future, when your destinies would branch. He had failed and died 3 times, but he'd learned another true thing. The Iblis Stone was evil. It would try to corrupt anyone who used it.